Chapter 16. Crespi fell back, praying that it wouldn't land on top of him. He managed to stay on his feet and the drone dropped nimbly into a crouch, hardly a metre in front of him, teeth bared. Hissing, it rose up, raised one massive, gleaming claw. Lightning fast, it backhanded Crespi, hurled him backward and into the wall of plexiglass. It was old and brittle. He felt it give, shatter, and crash all around him as he was thrown roughly to the floor of the adjoining lab. Pain, but no time for it. He was up, stumbling, his only thought to find a weapon of some kind. The drone screamed in fury and leapt after him. Gun, stick, rock, anything. He couldn't look back, wouldn't. Knew he'd see the grinning face of death right behind him, claws outstretched, the stainless steel teeth gnashing. There, past a slew of bolted chairs and desktops. The room opened out, free space, and an electromag field generator to one side, a portable, cords trailing from it into hidden sockets. Let it be on, oh God. A sudden pain in his ankle as he tripped across one of the metal chair struts, not seeing it until too late. He hit the floor hard, felt the drone right behind. The fall saved him. The creature was seemingly centimetres away, and it flew over him before it could stop. Its claws scrabbled against the smooth floor as it struggled to turn back, to rip out his heart and eat it. On the desk, something. He grabbed for it, an aerosol can, turned and sprayed wildly as the monster leapt for him. A cloud of mist burst from the can, spattered into the drone's descending maw. The creature shrieked in pain and fury and jumped back, seemingly desperate to escape the unknown spray. Crespi yanked himself up, the can gripped tightly, sweaty in his clutching fingers. He ran for the portable generator without looking at the drone, knew that it would be prepared to strike again in seconds. He felt blood from his cut face trickle down into his gasping mouth, and he spit bloody foam to one side. Generator, electromag weapon, kill. Seeing only the portable, now a few meters away. The control panel was at the base, on the floor, and Crespi didn't hesitate. He hurled himself into a dive, slid to it on his belly, and flipped over. The drone was there, hissing, poised to leap from just 2 meters away. Crespi shouted, a wordless cry of intense frustration, and slammed his hand into the panel. Open. Hit a switch without looking, prayed that it was the right one. The drone struck. The motion slowed in his mind's eye to a crawl, and Crespi snatched at the nearest cord, ripped it loose, pointing it at the creature as he jammed the button on the aerosol can again. A bright spark of electricity from the cord, and the can's substance was aflame, spouting fire at the springing creature like a tiny incinerator. The drone recoiled, tried to pull back, but the fiery spray engulfed its long, slick head, spattered and stuck to its exoskeleton like tar. Screaming, it fell backward, limbs flailing at the substance. He had a second, maybe less. Crespi jerked his wild gaze to the controls. On. He punched the power, the green button, the last second of his life. A high-pitched hum, followed by a higher, louder scream. The alien reeled back, brought its murderous claws to the sides of its smouldering head, screamed and screamed, before collapsing to the floor, unconscious. Crespi drew in a long, ragged breath and leaned back against the generator, too shocked to move, to think, to do anything but breathe. The echoes from the drone's cries still rang in his ears. From nearby, he heard running footsteps, frantic shouts. He held up the mysterious can of fluid and read the label dully. Hairspray. It was hairspray. He wanted to laugh, but was afraid to open his mouth. Afraid of the hysteria that roiled up inside, afraid that he would sob instead and not be able to stop. A young man in a baseball cap ran into the room, followed by another, both suited as electrical techs. What? Colonel Dr. Crespi? That from the man in the cap. His face was pale, confused, sweaty with surprise. The second man saw the creature, and his own face went ashen. He stared at Crespi with something like awe. Another one got out? Baseball was already tapped into his comm and now spoke rapidly. Stockdale, we have an alien in the extenuator room near the Unity. It's been magged, but you better get a full team down here. A&R. Armed and ready. Great. What was it doing here? The other tech, a burly blonde man, still looked at Crespi, his dazed blue eyes full of something like wonder. If you didn't... How did you... He shook his head. You're a lucky man, sir. Lucky. I'm a lucky man. He raised one shaky hand to his face, felt the blood there, already tacky and starting to dry, the injuries minor. His back felt cut too, and aching so badly that he didn't think he'd be able to walk the next day. But he was alive. The drone was down, and he had survived, barely, but it was enough. His shock ebbed for a second, and his thoughts found focus amid the days of pain and confusion. It had happened so fast, been so unexpected. Except someone had known about it. The someone who had sent him here to die. Crespi stood, ignored the calls of the technicians as they stuttered something about keeping still, ignored the bruised flesh that was already shrieking for rest, for relief. He stalked to the door and down the corridor with only one thought in mind, the only thing that made sense now. That fucking bitch. He'd kill her.